Alright. Cheryl, hi. Hot chocolate's in the building. Yes. You guys listen to my Black Rob, tribute to Black Rob. Whoa. Rest in peace, Black Rob. Hey, Alvin. Yes. Hi, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Conversation with Karen. Tonight's guest is Marquise Vilson. I can't even pronounce his name, okay? I'm just so excited he's here. I have the privilege to have Marquise on the show tonight. He's an actor, he's a model, he's an activist, and top it all off, guess what? He just happens to be transgender. He's all the above, and I freaking love it. I can't wait to sit and chat with him. How you guys doing? How's everything? I hope all is well when you're in. Are you guys cocktailing? Cheers. Cheers to you all. Boom. Oh my God, I had to listen to some Black Rob. We lost DMX. Well, DMX funeral was over the weekend, but you know, sad, heartbroken. Now, Black Rob, heartbroken. Anyhow, let me wait until he comes into the building. So I'm waiting till everyone, the boys and the girls, enter the room. Oh gosh. All right, let's see. Let's see. Oh, he's here. He's here. On time. On time, on time, on time. Yes. We get this in out tonight. Boom, boom, boom. Oh. Whoa. Hi, handsome.
Oh my God. Okay, wait. So do I need to turn my camera? Oh, I do. All right. So hold on a second. Let me come out of here and then come back in.
I'm jamming it so you get come on back. Come on back in. Come on back in. Come on back in. Come on. The camera's going this way. You gotta bring yourself back in. Oh my God. So are you guys excited? Because I'm excited. I got a lot of good questions. It's gonna be great. Anyway. Oh my gosh, I am so exhausted. Hi everyone, thank you for joining in. Hey Tabitha. Yes, I'm excited too, Ava. I know it's gonna be great, right? I can't wait to sit and chat with him. Oh my gosh, Cheryl, okay now, come on Cheryl. He's coming back. He's back. And back. And back. And I fixed the monitor. He's back. Whoa. Whoa, you're back!
Hello, hello.
Hi, handsome.
How are you? How are you?
I am great. How are you?
Pretty good. It's good weather today. I can't complain.
At all? Oh, Tanika, of course you're in the building. You can't complain? Of course you can. Look at you. Why are you so damn handsome? Just get on embarrassed. God, look at
Thank you, thank you. I'm just excited to be in your company today. So thank you for having me.
I'm excited. I'm so happy that you're here, and I'm so happy that you took the time out of your busy schedule to chat with moi. Hello. Now, where's your cocktails? Are we cheering?
I have tea.
Okay, it's okay. Cheers to us, to life.
Cheers.
Boom, boom. All right. Yes. Oh my God. How are you doing?
You know, I'm here. I'm alive. I'm black.
Yes.
I'm glad to be here.
You say you're here, you're alive, and you what?
And I'm black. I'm happy to be here.
Hello. All right, cool. Now listen, let's get this going. Tell us about your journey. And can you please explain what does it mean to be a transgender? Like, can you please educate us?
Okay, so
Let's go.
we gotta do like a 101. Okay.
That's it.
So I'll try my best to explain. So essentially, what it means to be trans is that you're assigned a specific sex at birth, And in terms of your gender identity, you do not, your gender does not fall in alignment with that assignment. So if you're somebody like yourself, you're assigned female at birth, you may not identify with being a woman.
Right.
Of course, gender is a construct and sex is something that is very scientific. And of course, it's along a spectrum. So,
Right. So I need to know, because I know that you are an activist. So I just want to like how did you become an activist? Like where did all that come from? Your activism.
To be honest with you, my activism started with my own experience.
Let's go. Talk to me.
You know, I came out in a very different time in the world in the late 90s, early 2000s is when my visibility started. In media, for me, that started as a model. So the activism in that moment in time was really about pushback. It was about not believing that it was my responsibility to hide, that I should be ashamed. Um, you know, in the 90s and the early 2000s, I mean, there wasn't just scrutiny coming from the largest society. I think there was also scrutiny within the LGBTQ community,
Right.
particularly among gay men and lesbian women who were just like, okay, it's one thing to be gay, it's another thing to be trans, and I don't get this. So for
Right.
me, it started with my own experience and wanting to feel seen, wanting to feel seen, wanting to feel heard, wanting to feel like I could live a life the same way anyone else would without having to be ashamed or be in fear of what that meant. Even though being visible at that time, it meant all those things. It meant
Right.
scrutiny, it meant violence, it meant all of those things. It was just that for me, it was super important for me to be honest and transparent about that because it was my life, you know, and given for me what I understand what it means to be black, black and queer, particularly in America. You know,
Right.
it wasn't something that I was willing to wait for someone else to create space for me. I felt like it was my responsibility to create that space for myself.
Right. So you just woke up and said, you know, I'm just gonna do this. I don't care what people say. I don't even care. I don't give a damn. I'm just gonna come in hard, kick the door in, and this is it, right?
No choice.
I love it. I love it. Oh my God.
I can't
So
with you.
go ahead, go. What you say?
I can't with you. Go ahead, Cameron. I'm here. I'm
Listen
here.
to me, Tommy. You know how we rolling. You know,
I
we
got
gonna
you.
keep it, you know. Because I ain't Barbara Walters, but I am Karen DePete.
Oh my God. No, it's totally fine. It's totally fine. Do your thing.
So listen, as a child, right? Let me ask you the first question. Like, when did you realize you was different?
Um, that question is always so interesting to me.
Oh, it is? Okay, sorry. This is my
No. It's not your fault. But I think people usually kind of ask that question. It's like a blanketed sort of thing. But to be honest with you, I didn't realize that I was different until other people did. Right? Like when you're a kid and you're in your own body, you're in
right.
your own experience. You don't
Right.
really know what it is that people are identifying as being different. You're just being yourself.
You're different, right. Okay.
I would probably say maybe like I don't know, teens, early teens,
Okay.
probably I would say somewhere around 11, 12, upwards of 14. Like that was when there was a lot more challenge around my gender that was like, oh, okay, this little tomboy thing. I don't know if this is like a phase, but this seemed like this is lasting long. You know, versus like, no, actually, this isn't about a phase. This is just like who I am. So I don't think it was really for me until probably between 11, you know, and 14, somewhere in there, that I started to notice that other people noticed me.
Right. Okay. See, that was simple, you know. It was like I was like when he was 5 and he thought this. Well, actually, let me tell you something. Years ago, no, let me tell you something. Barbara Walters, I get back to Barbara Walters. Years ago, she interviewed this young little girl, and she identified herself. She was born as a boy and a male, and identified herself as a female. But it was she was being interviewed. I think she was like 5 and 4. So it's like, you know, she knew as a child, and the parents said to Barbara during the interview, they said, well, every time they would put a boy's top and hat on, she didn't like it, and she identified herself as a little girl, you know, as a girl, and it made her.
Yes.
It was okay, so that's why I asked. See, it's, you know. See,
no, it's totally okay. I mean, you know, honestly, all of our journeys are really unique to us. It's about our environments that we live in, our family support systems, and whether or not those things are in place. You know,
Right.
I grew up. I mean, my father was killed when I was 7, so for the
Oh
most
wow.
part, I grew up with just my mom, and she didn't really challenge me a lot around the way that I express my gender. So, in fact, while I experienced as well too, like as a very young child, kind of
Mhm.
always just being mass presenting, like that's just who I've been. It
Mhm.
wasn't until much later on in my life that I recognized something that other people were identifying. Whereas in my household, it wasn't a conversation. You know, if I wanted to wear a
Right.
suit, if I wanted to wear boys' clothes, if I wanted a boy's bicycle, my mother wasn't like, no. It was like,
Yeah.
okay, if that's what you want. Like,
Got
you know,
it.
I want my kid to be happy. She
Right.
wasn't interested in not seeing me happy.
That's
Not seeing me not happy, I should say.
that's wonderful. Hey mother, come on, cheers to your mother. Tea and a glass of wine. Come on, cheers to mama.
Cheers to
Cheers to your
moms.
mom.
Cheers to moms.
Come on, you have to. That's a wonderful thing. You know, because like sometimes with some of these, you know, families and these LGBTQ family and you know kids that are coming up, it's difficult because some of their parents doesn't accept anything. You know, they
Which is
don't
true.
accept them as individuals. So that's wonderful. So thank God for that. Okay, darling, here we go. All right. So last year, seriously, was a very dark year, especially for the transgender. Now, the question I want to know is that how do we get rid of the stigma of the transgenders within our community and in the whole, and like within the whole world?
Mm. I mean, honestly, I don't know that there's a way to necessarily remove stigma.
Okay.
I think that there's a way to maybe minimize that stigma, and I think that representation, visible images of trans people in media, in policy change, in healthcare systems, in fashion, and all of these things. I think that those things are important to see, but I think it for me it feels like a yes and. It's kind of like when you know when you go to a grocery store and you're like, oh, okay, yeah, so I guess I do need an extension cord and I need gummy bears, right?
Right.
It's like the thing that you're constantly adding on. So I
Right.
feel like, yes, all those things are super important, but I think it takes things like this too, like constantly being in conversation,
Right.
constantly being in dialogue and sharing space. Um, you know, honestly, when I think about violence that trans communities experience and what they face and what we face in general, I often think about what it means to be a Black trans person in America. And
Right.
so one of the ways that I feel like that kind of stigma can at least learn to be minimized just that much more, I think is through conversation, but I think is ultimately with Black communities. Part of
Right.
the reason why I agreed to be a part of your platform today was because I know that you definitely have a Black audience. I know that you're attached to Black creatives, and I think that there's a way to start entering spaces, entering conversations with Black folk that can be just that much more impactful versus just kind of like on the surface and entertainment, to be perfectly honest with you.
Right.
I'm grateful that I see queer roles. Queer
Right.
roles,
I love
whether we're
it.
talking about Black Hollywood, white Hollywood,
But
or whatever, I think it's important to see those roles. But I think it's just that much more important to understand context, to know where we're coming from and why these conversations need to be happening. Black Trans Lives Matter, that movement really happened and kind of thrusted itself into the conversation as Black Lives Matter was happening last year. And part
right.
of the reason why is because the violence that is being perpetuated against Black trans community is
Right.
predominantly coming from Black people. So you know,
Exactly.
it's a yes and we have to engage. We have to have these conversations. They're very difficult. I understand that, but they
Yeah.
need to happen.
Oh my goodness, it was terrible. It was like every other day. It was, and I was like, what the hell is going on here?
Yeah.
I'm like, not knowing why, and it was just so sad. Oh my goodness.
I mean,
Oh,
honestly, today, and I just read an article earlier today. As of yesterday, their online digital magazine just reported that we're at number 16. So we're at 16 trans people killed in this country already. And in fact, actually, I believe that number is actually 19. And that's another thing that's difficult too, right? Like it's the reporting. There's no tracker of fatal violence in this country against trans communities, not by FBI, not by
right,
CIA, not
right,
by any local law enforcement. So I think that these numbers will always kind of be never really truly accurate. I think part of it is because law enforcement just does not take into account that like trans
uh,
people actually exist. But I mean, literally, we're sitting at number 16, And this person that was just killed, or at least that I just heard about yesterday, her name is Tiara Banks. This is the third Black trans woman killed in Chicago in 4 months. Right? Like there's a real strong peak for some reason in places like Chicago, obviously in Dallas, Texas, and some of that I think also has to do with legislature. It has to do with a lot of those conversations. I realize that we're at 200 plus bills currently that are anti-LGBTQ that specifically target trans communities, from medical and healthcare practices, telling medical professionals that they shouldn't be treating and or seeing trans kids, to not allowing. We are human. Literally, I mean, to not allowing trans kids to play sports, right? Like we're stopping kids from playing.
That was going to be my next question because I want to know, how did you feel about that? With the bill saying that the young trans can't participate in any sports nor in school.
I mean, it's another form of violence. It's another form of violence, and not only is it teaching trans kids to further feel isolated in their identities, I think it's also about teaching young kids who are not trans to become bullies of trans kids, to become transphobic, to become violent against trans communities. And there's part of me that feels really, the more that I kind of examine the trans bills that are coming down the pike around trans kids in sports, a lot of it feels like an extension really of the bathroom bill, because it isn't just about like the actual performance of the sport.
Right.
It's then also the connection to the gender assignment per the locker room, right? So now you're worried about trans kids having access to locker rooms that non-trans kids are in those spaces. I think there's ways to have all of those conversations without vilifying, quite honestly, and isolating trans kids. You don't have to do that. You don't have to target them to the point of, I mean, honestly speaking, it feels like we're about to go into segregation time, and suddenly we're going to be like, trans kids need to use a separate bathroom, they need to use a separate water fountain. Like, this is ridiculous, and we're talking about human beings who are kids.
Yes, absolutely. Oh my goodness, disgusting.
It is.
All right, so I have a question. All right, so the question is from Cheryl. It says, are you Black first, then trans, or vice versa?
This is the country that we live in, that you always gotta pick a binary. This is the most ridiculous thing. First of all, I identify with all of my experiences equally. If there's a thing that I feel like that is most pressing and most visible, obviously it's always going to be Blackness. It's not like I'm a light-skinned Black person. My melanin is deep and it's rich, and the way that I'm read in the world, the way that people are responding to me, is literally within mind of my Blackness first, because it's the first thing that they're seeing. I live in the Lower East Side. There's days when I'm walking in my neighborhood, and I definitely experience white people kind of looking at me like, well, what the hell are you doing here? Like, what you doing in this neighborhood?
Right.
So, but I mean, on a personal level, of course, I identify with all of the intersections of my identity. They are all things that are informing me of how I'm showing up in the way that people are meeting me. But in terms of my Blackness, I mean, obviously, because I'm visibly Black, and I'm also somebody who visibly presents as masculine, I'm read literally in the world as a cis man. When people see me, the first thing that they think is not trans. They definitely just see a big Black man.
Exactly. Especially with them abs.
Get off my internet. Oh my God. Get off my internet.
Come on, listen. It is what it is. What you put, come on. Hello.
I'm working with it.
We're gonna talk about them abs, honey, because I need to know how many push-ups you gotta have to get that. Okay, guys? Listen, go on his page. He has incredible abs, and we need to talk about how do you create
Oh my God.
that's a part. Listen, that's a part of life. That's a part of self-love. Hello.
Self-care, absolutely.
Listen, right? It is what it is. Okay. So I have another question from Michael Pierre. Oh my goodness. Okay. Why can't we get away from the adjectives? Why do you think we can't get away from the adjectives?
What do they mean by adjectives? You talking about pronouns?
I guess the he, she, him, all
Oh my God. So I think it's important to acknowledge that people identify themselves in ways that work for them. It is not my job, as an example, to police your pronouns. If your pronouns are they, or them, or starfish, whatever they are, I'm to be respectful of you as a human being, and if those are your pronouns, it's not going to kill me to say starfish.
Right.
or she or her or like whatever it is. I mean, it's not really rocket science. It's just respect.
Got it. Okay, all right. Now let's move on. Let's move on. Okay.
Okay.
Let's talk about the acting and the producing. Okay. Take me
Yes.
to the moment when you realized you want to be an actor and a producer. Have you always wanted to be an actor?
You know what?
Yes.
I don't. You know, I don't know that that's true. To be honest with you, I dropped out of school pretty early.
Okay.
Because I was pretty visible and like out, I mean, literally by the time I was 15, 16, I was already Marquise. And the world was just a different time.
Okay.
In terms of acting, I don't know that I would say that I always wanted to be an actor. I wanted to be a fashion model. I wanted to be a designer. I wanted to be a rapper. I wanted to be a writer. Like I wanted to do all these things.
Mm-hmm.
And it felt like because of the layers of my queerness and because I was really honest about that, there was going to be a cap. So I had to drop out of school.
Right.
And coincidentally enough, I ended up discovering ballroom. I found the ballroom scene when I was like 14 years old.
Right.
And so while I don't know that I would say that I've always wanted to be an actor, I think maybe ballroom culture kind of prepped me. It probably groomed me a good bit in terms of dealing with television and stage because, I mean, you're literally in the moment. It's a very similar experience.
Yes.
But once I started acting, I think the first thing that I ever worked on was like a web series. I fell in love with the experience.
You did?
I did. I fell in love with the experience. It came very natural to me. I didn't have an issue at all. And in terms of producing, no. Producing really is a new experience for me, kind of going into the world of producing. But the more that I'm a part of this industry in terms of entertainment, the more I understand the importance of creating your own content and creating the kind of stories that you want to see.
Got it. Okay. All right. I like that. The natural thing. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Speaking of the ballroom, I'm obsessed with the legendary. Oh my God! I'm obsessed.
You love Legendary.
Listen, I am so obsessed with it that it's so good. And
let me. Okay, so now I got questions. What in the world do you know about ballroom history or culture? Have you
listen
ever?
to me, darling. Listen, we're gonna keep this real quick and easy.
Okay.
I know a lot of people. I've been around. I've been to many balls, so I know. Okay. I know the game. All right.
So you understand what you're saying?
I totally understand what I've seen. I totally been to many balls in the 90s, early 2000s too. Yeah, yes, I have. Yes.
Okay.
And actually, the last ball I went to, it was with Raven. We went to, it was a ball in the city. It was years ago. And so it was it was Yancey. It was a whole bunch of us. We all went to the ball. Okay. Yeah, trust me, I've been. So Mr. Peach is many things instead of a makeup artist.
Okay. I think it's cool. I think to see people that come authentically from my community on shows like Legendary, on Pose, having been on stuff like Kiki and My House on Viceland, like I think it's really cool to kind of see that shift and how impactful the culture has actually become. I'm hoping that there'll be more opportunities to see more docuseries style stuff so people can have an actual relationship to the culture versus just kind of like enjoying the talent, which is cool too. There's nothing wrong with that, but I'm just enamored with the whole thing right now. I think it's pretty cool because so many of these folks have been waiting for years to have the opportunities. And I think, when you start looking at like Black and brown queer folks who have always been like living in and on the margins, for them to have opportunities like this, I mean, you're changing someone's life.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, you are. Okay, let's talk about your roles. Now, you've portrayed so many roles on films and television. Which is your favorite role and why?
I would say Jim Preston, obviously on Law and Order SVU. And I think the reason why is because, it's important to see trans representation on TV. And I think even more than that, it's important for trans people to be in folks' homes. I'd love to see and have more opportunities like that. I mean, personally, it's the only trans role that I've ever played.
Right.
It's literally the first television role that I've ever booked, and it was the last one that I've ever booked with regards to transness. But I would love to see more. I would love to see more opportunities for people to have relationships, ongoing relationship with trans communities, and especially Black trans men.
Right.
Absolutely.
Wow. So speaking of that, on that role, now was that when you got nominated the episode got nominated for the GLAAD Awards for Outstanding. Yes, congratulations. Do you miss the red carpet?
Do I miss it? No.
Why? I miss the glitz and the glamour. This COVID has shut everything. Listen, you saw the Oscars the other day. It was so whack. I was like, hello, don't you miss
I know there are tons of people that are so devastated that we can't do that thing, but I mean, honestly, I'm not really into red carpets. I enjoy the work. I appreciate, kind of seeing the talent in that way, but the red carpets, I'm not really into that. That's your thing.
Okay, well, yeah, hello, okay, it is. Now listen, now how did that nomination change your life into bringing awareness into the community? Like your nomination for the role that you played on.
I would say one of the ways that it changed my life, somehow I got thrusted into disclosure. I recall the day that I got like a random DM from Laverne Cox. It was the weirdest thing. We don't know each other. Nice. We had never met, and suddenly this person was in my DM. And I would imagine that a large part of that had to do with this GLAAD Media Award.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Very nice. Yeah, because you never know. People slipping your DM and saying something crazy.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, God. All right. Now, you know what I love about the transgender community? Just the whole entire community. You guys love giving back. Transgiving, I love it. The clothes drive, the food drive. I mean, it's like, how do we get involved? Like, how do people get involved? Is there a website? Is there somewhere,
I mean, there's so many different ways to like show up for trans communities. Of course, you can follow some of, the public figures and activists that are doing the work. Obviously, India Moore, I think, is a great person to follow. Markel Willis, the Okra Project, Black Trans Travel Fund, Black Trans Femmes in the Arts, Black Trans Media, the Black Trans Prayer Book. I mean, of course, you can follow me. There's so many different ways to show up and support trans people, and particularly Black trans people. But start by following a Black trans person. I guarantee you'll open up your network. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. All right. Now let's get back to Although I am a makeup artist, but I love asking questions about skin and products. Your skin is amazing. What do you do? What is two of your favorite products that you can't live without? A skincare.
Oh my God, what is it called?
Do you drink a lot of water or what?
I do. So first of all, water, yes. I drink a lot of water and I do drink a lot of tea. I'm not gonna lie, I drink at least 3 to 4 cups of tea a day, and I'm always drinking water. Outside of that, there's this product. It's from Trader Joe's. It's a hydration oil. I use that at night, so I'm really good at like hydrating my skin.
Good.
And if I'm not using that, then for me, coconut oil really does work. Like it's easy, it's light, it's inexpensive, it does the job. Black people don't really need a lot.
Yes. Well, the thing with us is that we sag. At a certain age, we do sag, but we still have to take care of the skin, and it's I tell people what you put in is what comes out on the outside. So,
what would you recommend for sag?
For sagging, you have to massage the skin, and you have to pull that skin up. It's all about massaging and bring the skin up, because sometimes we sag and we have no control to it. So every day while you're applying your moisturizer, just massage that skin up. Don't massage down, because then you're pulling that skin down. So if you massage up and it's like lifting up the face. You see that?
I didn't know that. Look at this. I'm learning shit, y'all.
Class 101. Listen up.
Trader Joe's Hydro is amazing. See, somebody knows about the Trader Joe.
No, but it's the truth. Just take your moisturizer and just keep pulling that skin up. That's it. Just moisturize and pull it up and just massage it. There's a lot of facial massages that you can do while you're home. And then
I see Tracy Ellis Ross doing that thing. She's always doing this thing on her face.
Because we're lifting that skin. So, and sometimes there's devices that you can use and you purchase on Amazon. If not, use your hand, use a spoon, and then just bring her up. You see that?
And bring her up. Jesus, get me out of here.
No, but seriously, no. Bring and lift her up. It's your face.
Okay.
This is what I do with my girls and boys. I said, just bring that face and bring her up. So
it's okay. I'm from Ballroom. Everybody is she. Everything is she.
Well, bring her up.
Bring her up. Got you.
Bring her up. If you could bring him up, you can bring the skin up. How about that? Who cares?
I got you.
Okay. All right. Now going back to the ads. How many sit-ups did you do a day?
Honestly, I do not. Now, this I'm going to be honest. I do not target my abs. That is not a thing. No. I do not target my abs every day. I don't do 1,000 sit-ups. I'm not one of those people. I try to maintain a decent diet, and I do a lot of cardio, and I do a lot of compound movements. And that's how your abs will stay in check. But you need to watch what you eat. It's pointless. You can do 1,000 sit-ups a day. If you're eating cheeseburgers, you're gonna look like a cheeseburger.
That's it.
That's it.
Okay, now what advice would you give to the up and coming youth? What advice would you give to the up and coming youth in the LGBT community that's trying to get into the industry?
For young people that are trying to get into the industry, I would say, so first, you might want to try Actors Access. You might want to try Casting Society of America to start looking for reputable roles. Stay away from all of that backstage and whatever that other foolishness is. In addition to that, I think it does make sense to be really clear and intentional about the kind of career that you want. You know, start thinking about the legacy that you want to leave behind, the kind of stories that you want to tell, the kind of work that you want to do. And I think when you start doing that, the types of people that you connect yourself with, then they'll start to make sense. And even more than that, you'll be more in alignment with the right kinds of people when you have a clear understanding. If you're unsure, I promise you're going to meet a bunch of unsure fools who will have you on every kind of train possible, but the good one. You're right. Like, take your time, and also take meetings. Take as many meetings as you can with managers, with agencies. Keep in mind that when you're going on those meetings, if you're sitting down in an interview, I mean, they're not just interviewing you; you're also interviewing them. Right? That person's responsibility is to get you work and to get you work that you feel good about. So feel empowered by that, because at the end of the day, it's your life and it's your career.
You're right. You're absolutely right. Oh my goodness, gosh. Now, question: are you shooting?
I will be next month. Yeah, I will be next month.
Now, what is are you guys taking the COVID test? Are you looking like condoms walking in the building? Because we're covered from that stuff. No, seriously, it's the truth. We're covered from that stuff.
This motherfucker said y'all looking like condoms.
No, but seriously though, because you know how this in production nowadays, it's like years ago you used to bring in guests. Now you can't bring anyone in there. Yeah. And then even if you're with a guest or a co-host and you've been on set for forever, everyone has to, go through, and you have to be cautious. So that's why I ask, and different productions are different. You know
Which
what
is
I mean?
true. I mean, it's, I think it's pretty, standard in terms of SAG right now. You've got to do testing every 3 days.
Yeah.
For myself, like, I recently just got the first round of the vaccine. I'm getting the second one. I have not, I'll be honest with you, I have not, advertised that or promoted that. And part of it really is just because I feel very obliged and obligated, because if I don't, then at some point I might not get work.
Exactly.
And to be a Black person who's trans, like, I don't need no more help being broke. Right? Like, you know what I mean? So, like, but yeah, it looks like all of those things. It looks definitely like testing every 3 days, and having to submit all this stuff to assistants and production and all this other foolishness. Is like, oh my God, I just want to work.
Wow, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Alrighty, darling. So listen, the show is over. I told you it goes by so fast.
Nice and easy.
See, I told you, nice and easy. Get to the point.
Well, I appreciate you.
Oh my God, thank you. No, seriously, thank you for being a guest on Conversation with Karen. I love it. Seriously.
Thank you for having me.
You were very informative. We laughed, we got to the point. And that's it. It wasn't a 10-hour production. How do you? Let's get to the point. Thank you so much. But seriously, though. No,
absolutely.
Seriously, it's like, haven't you? And I'm sure you've been on some live that it's like an hour. I'm like, get me off. Are you done?
You'd be surprised some of the questions that people will ask you, but I appreciate you. Thank you for being respectful. Thank you for having a good time and also not just being rigid about the whole like conversation. So just thank you.
That's right. Hello. Now, cheers. Now, listen. Where can everyone find you on social media? You want to share your social
Obviously, Instagram. Instagram is the best way to reach me. I'm old. I don't be doing all of this other extra stuff. Either Instagram or Twitter. Same. Marquise Vilson. You can find me.
We simple. Keep it simple. It's not like IMG_25 at. It's too much, right?
Yo.
But don't you know? I'm like, which one is it?
Right. No, it ain't none of that. Marquise Vilson, that's on Twitter, that's on Instagram, that's it. I ain't got nothing else.
Thank you, Marquise. Cheers.
Cheers.
Bye. Thank you so much. Cheers.
All right.
All right, guys. Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right.
Oh my God, I love it. That was perfect. See, that's what I'm talking about. In and out. We get it. Say what we have to say. That's it. I hope you guys enjoyed this conversation. This was good. It was great. 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 And I love him. He's so sweet. All right, guys. So listen. Thank you for tuning in. Okay, on Conversation with Karen. I will see you guys next week. Don't forget to wear your mask. Ladies, don't forget to wear your lashes. Listen, guys, always remember God is on your side. Oh, you drinking too much. You guys stay safe and peace. I'll see you guys next week, all right? See ya. Mwah. Cheers.